Welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about the palettes I used the most this year. So if you want to see which ones I used a ton and which ones I also used more than others, then just keep on watching. Listen, a disclaimer, I feel like last year, I will link the video down below, I had way more usages out of my palettes, and that is because I used them quite a ton. This year, I have to say, I had a time where I was just using like my base makeup and didn't even use mascara, didn't use eyeshadows at all. So just have that in mind. And also I used a ton of the products like 4 times, 3 times, you know what I mean? So yeah, so let's start with 2 of the palettes I used 5 times. I do enjoy all of the palettes, by the way. The 2 last ones, so 4 and 5, both of them have 5 uses, just so you know. I would just grab randomly the first one I'm using, and again I will talk about it and tell you again a little bit about the palettes and why I used it this many times. Again, it's not as many times as the previous years, but also I do have to say this year I had like a ton amount of palettes. I had to like elongate my palette list. Like this is the list I'm like having to like really see which palettes I like own, and I'm telling you right away I have tons of new, so just so you know, keep that in mind. We will have 5 palettes to talk about because again I started at 5 uses because like again the palette I use the most is 9 uses, and that is kind of a good amount. I could have gone with 10, tell you that, but I feel like at some point I would have like a ton of product that I use 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, just so you know. So we'll start with 5. I used the Pat McGrath Mothership. That is, I feel like the 6 I feel. This one was a present from one of my dear friends, and by the way, this palette is heavy, really top heavy, so if you want to like murder your husband with it, it works, just saying. This one is one of her more neutral leaning palettes. We do have like neutral brown shades. I feel like they are just the 3 mattes, like this one, and then this darker one. We do have like quite a goldish kind of 2 shimmers, and then we do have more of a special shade range. You can tell there's a purple, this one is a greenish gold, we do have like a really pretty copper, and then this one is a really light sparkly shade. None of these like colors in particular are like extremely duochrome, multichrome, whatever it is. They're just like a special texture, I would say. I did enjoy the palette quite a ton. You will see I do prefer a more neutral route when I go to work, just because it's easier and a little bit faster, and that's just the kind of way. I did enjoy the palette though. I did love the green here, and then again those warm tones brown. I'm a warm toned brown kind of a girl, tell you that, but I do love the green. I did enjoy this sparkly shade so much. Like look at this, this is so pretty. So I definitely see why I used it so often. Like again, that is in quotes, air quotes and air text, just saying, but I really enjoyed this palette a ton, and I feel like the quality is really great. Do you need this palette and like crave 100? I feel like these are 130 something dollar in your life. No, what? No, I don't think so. Listen, if you love luxury, this one definitely is, but if you're like, listen, can you like not do them in a cheaper way? 100%. So I don't feel like, especially with indie brands, to be honest, I don't feel like you need this, but I definitely wanted to use this quite often because again it was a present from one of my dear friends and I just enjoyed it so much. This one again I used 5 times, and I feel like this one was just my all-rounder. It's a Blend Bunny search. Listen, I did enjoy this palette so much. I don't feel I did a lot of like neon looks this year, but I feel I used like the white, the black, and some of these colors a ton. And to be honest, that is the main reason I love this palette so much, because we do have like quite neutral leaning tones. We do have also a little bit of color. We do have, again, a pastel, a medium, and then a deeper shade. And this palette is also like shimmers and neons. So that is, I feel like, a great combination of colors. She did a ton of like a similar-ish kind of shades. She does a basic palette. She also has more neutral leaning palettes. If you're like, listen, this is a little bit too colorful for me, she does have them. If you love it, like I do enjoy the quality of blend bunnies as well. And just so you know, if you use these neons and you do want to like have the really neon look, use an eye primer and don't blend a ton. Just pat it on, let it sit. Good with that. I do feel though these colors are really nice as blending shades. They do lose their neonness, if you will, if you do it like this, if you just blend any of the other shades with it. But if you do want to like pat it on as a real neon, use a really like glitter glue kind of a way, pat it on and let it sit. Don't blend, just saying. But other than this, I really enjoyed the palette. Again, I love the white, I love the black. It's a great palette. I do enjoy it quite a bit. By the way, also the Search palette was the only palette that was not new this year. Just saying, or I did not purchase this year, just saying. The next palette I used 6 times, so 1 time more than the other 2, and this is also a new palette from this year. It's the Cosmic Brushes Neutrals palette. I feel like you will see why I enjoy this so much. This is a neutral brown palette with pops of colors. So this is if you love like your neutrals, you want to like switch a little bit into color. I feel like this is great because you do have a green, you do have a yellow, you do have like a deeper berry purple shade. I feel like you can definitely go into mauvey direction, you can go in a green direction. We do have really great neutral shades. There's a multichrome as well. 2 multichromes if I'm not mistaken. There are also duochromes in here. This one is, I feel like this year they Cosmic Brushes released 3 palettes, 4 palettes technically, 5 palettes. Listen, they released a ton of palettes, and mostly like the regular ones, not the holiday ones or the Halloween ones, they were quite neutral leaning with a pop. You know what I mean? So we have the Couturals as well. We have the green palette, the Undergrowth. Is it the Undergrowth? They were all more neutral leaning palettes, not as bright, not as colorful as maybe the year before or that year before, just saying. But I do enjoy this really much. Again, more neutral browns with pops of colors, and again, we have like really nice duochromes, we have multichromes. We do have a really bright shade as well here, and again, this is a multichrome. This one is as well. But we also have like a, I think this is a black, and then also like a really deep brown. So you can have everything, if you will. And I do enjoy this so much. So again, love it. And that's why I used it this many times. We don't have a palette that I used 7 times. I'm not sure why. This one though was a really close call. This palette was like my most used palette till last week. I'm just telling you, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, because this one I used 8 times, and this is Lunar Beauty. This is the Moonshroom palette by Lunar Beauty. This was, I feel like a limited edition, I'm not sure, but this was this year's palette. I mean, I do love these colors. I did just like love these colors. I love this bright yellow. I do like the greens and browns as well. We do have like more yellowy greens. I feel like in general the palette, especially the matte shades, were like 100% my thing. I love them so much. The only thing I do have to say, I am a little bit not disappointed. I don't want to say that, but I feel like the shimmer selection could have been better, because we do have really bright purple shades and this one is quite muted. We do have like 3 goldy shades and they are quite similar. You know what I mean? In general though, the quality of these are great and really decent, really great. Again, I just enjoyed the mattes in this palette more than I did enjoy the shimmers. So I mostly gravitate towards the mattes and then put on another shimmer. Just saying, a little bit of a brighter shimmer, a little bit that. But other than this, again, this shade is quite nice to use as well. It's a little bit deeper for my liking for an inner corner, but I can use it, don't get me wrong. This one is a really pretty color. I don't know if you can tell, like the bluish greenish kind of a really nice shade. Should work probably with these 2. It's just a little bit sheer for that, to be honest. But in general, again, I love the color story. Wish the shimmers would be a bit better of a selection, but other than this, I really enjoyed this palette, and I used it again 8 times. So, and again, till last week, this was the palette I used the most. So you can tell I I did enjoy it really much. Listen, the palette that won by one use, and I used it 9 times, and that's it. It's like the Gloss Gods Let's Get Nude palette. Again, do have like for my daily usage, I do have like a type at the moment. It's not neutral leaning palettes. Can I show you the shift? I feel like if you see the mirror, like in the mirror, you can see the shift of these twos. Like, this is a beautiful palette. I have to give it a Gloss Gods to bring us like a neutral leaning brown palette. It's not too warm, it's like a great amount. We do have a really light shade, we do have a really dark shade. This one is more of a shimmer, a satin to be honest, but and then we do have like a shift in this. This is not your typical neutral palette. This is a neutral brown palette with special shades. We do have a multi-chrome, which is this one. This is like this one, yes. These 3 shades here are all like special. This one looks like a copper, but it is also, as you can tell in the mirror reflection, it's also like a goldish shade. This one is a purple, brown, red color. This one is also multi-chrome, and as you can tell, it's like yellow, it is white, it is also like a little bit of a pink. I do enjoy that much. Also, like these 2 shades, these 2 brown shades are so damn sparkly and pretty. And if you just want to have like a basic neutral brown bitch shade or a basic neutral brown bitch like makeup, go with this palette. It's working pretty amazing. If you want to have a little bit more and a little bit more fun, again, this palette is working also good. This one is also duochrome, like a more coppery shade. Like, these are gorgeous. And the quality is there, they are pigmented, they are easy to blend, they blend together really well, like they are layerable, I feel like buildable, they are so great. And yeah, I have to say, hands down the Gloss Gods, this palette is gorgeous. These were my 5 most used palettes. Again, the usage is a little bit low this year, but I feel like all of them are amazing. And yes, we do have colors in here. I do have to say though, I wish there would be a little bit more colors. Like, we do have like 2 colorful palettes and then 3 more neutral shade-ish palettes. Like, listen, I'm sorry. But again, when I do go to my job, I do enjoy a more easy brown makeup. Sorry for that. Yeah, but I hope you really enjoyed this video. Which palettes did you use the most this year? Which was your favorite? Tell me down in the comments so I know. If you also want to see more fun and colorful looks, this one, by the way, will be a video where I test out different palettes. So if you want to see that as well, subscribe to this channel. I upload 3 times a week. I would love to have you in my small little YouTube family. So I wish you a beautiful week, and we see us in my next video. So bye guys.